Good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar, Look Who's Talking, Encouraging Your Audience to Drive Digital Content. My name is Rachel Shane, and I'm the Director of the Arts Administration Program at the University of Kentucky. And this is my colleague, Ben Sheridan, who is our educational technologist.
Hello, everyone. We're testing out Google Hangouts on air for the first time today. So hopefully you're watching us on our event page or on our YouTube channel. If you did launch the Hangout from our event page, sometimes you're going to get a little weird cropping in your browser. But if you double click right on the window, it should size it properly and you'll be able to see everything in our screen.
Great. So over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to share some information, ideas, examples, and tools for how you might use social media to reach your audience. Towards the end of the session, we will answer questions live on air. If you have questions during the session, you can tweet them using our hashtag UKArtsAdmin. If you don't have Twitter, you can post your question on our Google Hangouts on air event page by going to the web address that you see right now on your screen. Now, despite our geographic locations, I presume that we're all here today because we have an interest in how to leverage social media to engage our audiences, our patrons, and to try to reach new markets. So let's get started. As it happens, our world has changed significantly in the last decade. In 2007, only 7% of American adults use some type of social media, according to Pew Research. Today, nearly 2/3 of American adults, 65%, utilize at least one social networking site. And those on social media is very broad. As expected, young adults are the most likely to use social media, a full 90% do. But perhaps more surprising is that usage by those 65 and older has tripled since 2010. Today, 35% of those 65 and older use social media compared to just 2% in 2005. There seems to be little difference in social media usage when it comes to gender. 68% of women use social media, while 62% of men do. There are not notable difference by racial or ethnic groups in social media usage. Additionally, urban and suburban residents are more likely to engage in social media than rural residents, as are those with some college experience versus those with high school degree or less. Now, I hear many arts administrators and nonprofit managers attempting to figure out how it is that we can reach those millennials, those aged 18 to 36. Well, millennials are online with some type of media, an average of 17.8 hours a day. And they're active with posts, photos, blogs, email, and texting for about 5.4 hours of their day. So millennials may be online all the time, but as busy administrators and managers, we're trying to juggle many priorities and activities for our organization. And we probably don't have time to be posting interesting content to 5 different social media sites. In fact, we need help. And that help can come by encouraging those who are engaged with your organization to share and post their own content that is related to your mission, your events, and your message. This is called user-generated content, or UGC. With UGC, we want to try to find ways to entice our stakeholders to generate new content that can be consumed by others while promoting our brand. Essentially, user-generated content is the word of mouth for the 21st century. So today, I'd like to share with you 5 ideas for encouraging user-generated content and show you some examples of how others are using these techniques. So first, we have the hashtag. You are probably already familiar with the hashtag and may be using it extensively for your organization now. A hashtag allows people to search for content related to a specific topic, organization, idea, etc. The hashtag was launched by Twitter in 2007, but it is now also used on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Vine, and Tumblr. In order to capitalize on the prevalence of hashtags and encourage your followers to use it, you want to create a hashtag for your organization, your event, or your cause, and use it absolutely everywhere. Yes, you should use it on social media, but promote it on all of your marketing and communications efforts as well. Let's look at a couple of examples. The Milwaukee Art Museum has an event called Ma'am After Dark, which opens the organization at night and fills it with a variety of creative and social activities, food, drinks, and the event is quite popular with a younger crowd. In conjunction with the event, the museum promotes a hashtag, Ma'am After Dark. As a result, attendees utilize it when posting about their experience to social media. Here are some examples using the Ma'am After Dark hashtag from Twitter. As you can see, there are lots of photos, even videos that are posted. You can also find the hashtag being used on Instagram. And here again on Tumblr. So the museum has been able to generate hundreds of posts to various forms of social media by promoting one hashtag that was associated with the event. Now you could also use a hashtag to promote the organization as a whole. So in these next examples, you'll see people posting about the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater Company using the hashtag Alvin Ailey. People are posting here to Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, and on Pinterest. Now, what's really great about this example is that I found 5 different social media sites that Alvin Ailey's hashtag was used, but Alvin Ailey actually only maintains 2 social media sites, Facebook and Instagram. On the other sites, the audience is spreading the message for them. Now let's talk about an on-site photo booth. You maybe have seen them at weddings or associated with specific brands. Here's one associated with Fanta. Essentially, it's just a location with identifying features of a place or organization where you can take advantage of the selfie movement by providing a place for patrons to snap some pictures and hopefully post them on social media. Now at the Joffrey Ballet, what they did was they put up a very large poster with an eye-catching image of a dancer and allowed people to stand in front of it to snap their photos. You see, they got traction on nearly all the social media sites using their hashtag with people posing in front of the poster. Now at the Norton Museum of Art, they actually offered cutouts associated with specific exhibitions and actually included basic directions, snap a photo, with the organization and exhibition hashtag. So here you could capitalize on both giving the patrons a place to take photos, but also use it in conjunction with your hashtags. And you can see these were pretty fun photos that ended up getting taken here at the Norton Museum of Art. Now, what about live events? At this point, pretty much everyone has heard about live tweeting from performances. Now, whether your organization wants to go down that road or not, there are still ways to engage with your audience during live events. Of course, more organizations are investigating using social media services like Periscope, which provides live streaming video, or even something like we're doing here today on Google Hangouts on Air. But the easiest way to capitalize on live events is by watching for your hashtags and sharing them live as the event is going on. Here we have the Cincinnati Art Museum sharing pictures from a kids event that they sponsored at a Cincinnati Reds game. And in this tweet, the Lexington Philharmonic can share from backstage as its artists prepare for an event, or from the audience perspective. At an event like Bonnaroo Music Festival, lots of attendees post amazing images and videos that the organization can share on their social media channels. Now, correspondingly, you want to recognize user-generated content. And one way to do that is by sharing posts from live events like we just discussed. But you can also monitor, share, and respond to your followers online. Here's an interesting tweet from a patron at the Cincinnati Contemporary Art Center. He was using the lobby of his office to do some work. He snapped a pic and tweeted it. The center responded by retweeting his tweet. And in this example, the Taft Museum is thanked by a teacher and a student for visiting their school. The museum then retweeted those messages. In addition to just retweeting or sharing, you can also promote and engage in a conversation. The Philadelphia Museum of Art asked followers to ask questions with a hashtag prior to a speaking event by Shepard Fairey. While the Heinz History Center promotes an Ask a Curator Day, where followers ask questions and receive answers via social media, as well as on a curator blog, which recaptures all of the questions and answers from the event. Finally, the last strategy I would like to share with you today is using contests or sweepstakes. This may be something that some of you have already tried. If not, it can be a good way to start engaging your audience in social media. Here we have the Chicago Symphony requesting photos to go along with their 125th anniversary. In this case, the Nashville Symphony encouraged patrons to snap a symphony selfie by intermission of the performance for a chance to win a prize pack. And here the Oregon Ballet requested photos about Italy and Italian culture to correspond with the themed performance. The winner would receive a pair of tickets to the performance. As a cool perk, after the contest ended, the winner was selected. The Oregon Ballet offered 2-for-1 tickets to every single person who participated. And many of the participants then discussed the purchasing of those 2-for-1 tickets online following the offer. So what it comes down to is this: the best social media marketing is not publishing information yourself, but inspiring others to publish content about you. And as an added benefit, we will be less stressed with trying to manage all of the social media content yourself, and our audiences will be more engaged with our organizations. Now, I'm going to pass the reins over to my colleague, Ben, who is going to talk more specifically about tools you can use to help manage your social media. And afterwards, we're going to take your questions, so keep them coming.
Great, thank you, Rachel. Okay, so quickly I'm going to talk about a couple things that you can use to sort of understand how your efforts are being realized with social media across the different channels. So really, we want to know what is our reach? Who are we reaching? We also want to manage our brand. We want to make sure that we're being consistent with our message and that our brand is being represented in a way that we appreciate and agree with. We also want to measure our impact. We want to know what our efforts are doing and what's working and what's not. We also want to build our confidence. So we don't want to push that button with trembling fingers and think, what's going to happen with this? We kind of want to understand. And also, finally, we want to gather insights from customer conversations, because as Rachel was saying, the user-generated content is so powerful because it's coming from other users and not from, of course, we all want to say that we're great, because we all think we're great and we are doing great things. But it kind of carries more weight when other people are saying it, especially when a lot of people are saying it. So I'm going to briefly share with you a couple tools that you can use to sort of measure what you're doing on social media and how it's impacting certain people, certain regions, and so we'll just dive right into that. So first, we're going to talk about Brand 24. Brand 24, it lets you know sort of what's going on and what people are saying. So a couple insights. You can easily segment what people are saying about your brand by positive, negative, or neutral mentions. So it's when you see stuff come across, say, oh, that's positive or that's negative. This actually allows you to group things, so you're able to understand. You're able to understand what exactly people are liking about your message, and then what is not maybe resonating so well. So in addition, you can see who is saying stuff about your brand, and then they actually get an influencer score. So you can see, is this person saying really awesome things about your brand, but maybe not many people are listening to what they say. And conversely, maybe someone's saying some really nice stuff, and a lot of people are listening to this person. So it's really kind of interesting. Also, it allows you to work collaboratively across teams, which is pretty important because, sometimes someone who is social media savvy gets to be the social media person at an organization, but it's really better when it's coming from a lot of different people. So also, to kind of work with that, it groups related topics, keywords, etc., so you can kind of focus your efforts. So social search, you can actually search the social for key topics, trends, and see what people are talking about, what's trending, kind of hop on there. You might have something to say about something that everybody else is talking about. Maybe it's important. Maybe it's an underknown fact that your organization has an interest in this area. So it's very, very cool. Also, you have to know what your competitors are doing. You know, steal like an artist, right? Picasso said that. So see what other people are doing and that works really well, and go ahead and do that. Now, Google is not a very sexy tool, but it is a very powerful one. Now, Google has something called advanced search. So advanced search gives you some really cool options. So you can work with Google to find out a bunch of different things. So you can look for words, group words, or exact word phrases if you're looking for very specific things. You can search for pages or mentions with any words that you want. You can also exclude words. So maybe you want to hear about an event, but you don't want certain words in there. You want to see maybe what niche markets or niche people are talking about. You can range it from numbers. Then also you can actually search by language. So you can see if you have a worldwide or a global audience, you can see what people in other languages are talking about or saying about you. You can also do it by region. You know, if you're running workshops in certain regions, you can limit your results by that. You can also search site or domains. So if you want to see what certain words or hashtags are trending only on Instagram, you can search the Instagram site, the Instagram domain. You can also do this for Twitter. Another thing is actually if you pop out of LinkedIn, run a Google search for the LinkedIn domain, you're going to get a lot more results than if you were actually just searching from within LinkedIn. You'll actually see full profiles, etc. So if you go to Google Help, you can find all these really quick little punctuation and symbols you can add to your searches. So you can get pretty slick at this and use this stuff pretty quick. You can also use search operators so that you won't have to dive into the advanced search page. You can add these really cool little operators and punctuations in your search and tailor your results. All right, Post Planner is another tool that's pretty cool. What does Post Planner do? Well, it helps in finding the best content. And what does that mean? Facebook and some sites actually will prioritize what you see in your feed. And so if something's trending, it's gonna show up above something else. So this gives you an idea. So you can view a list of most liked images on Facebook for a particular category or time frame. You can view the most shared pictures on Instagram to reshare across different platforms. And then you can also view the most shared updates so that you can actually understand that when you do share this content, it's going to show up because it's already being shared a lot. It's kind of piggybacking on the algorithm or taking advantage of the algorithm that some of these sites use. It also schedules posts, which a lot of things do, but it actually, in addition, schedules reposts, so you don't have to think about that. It's pretty cool. Tweetbinder is another kind of cool thing that searches for hashtags, mentions, keywords. You can sort of check out what people are talking about on Twitter and see what's trending. It also finds, if you search hashtags, it lets you know who the most active users are of that hashtag, so you can kind of pinpoint a conversation person that you want to maybe talk to. TweetBeam is a really cool visual tweet sort of hashtag curator that is really cool for events because it displays the images of all the tweets in the background, and then it kind of pulls one and they kind of zoom out from the background, and then if they're sharing a picture, the picture is shared along with what they're saying, or they just share their image, the user image. And so if you have an event happening and people are filling in, or they're gathering in social areas, or even if they have to walk down a hall, if you have these images, this displayed in these different areas, it really shows how, it highlights how these digital spaces are actually just representations of what's happening at the event. So people get really into it when they see their tweets popping up on here, and they'll take selfies and groupies and whatnot, or they'll take pictures, artistic pictures, and there's kind of a little bit of a validation. And it shows like there's this conversation that's bigger than just what's going on in the room. So Hootsuite is a pretty amazing, powerful tool, and I am just going to touch very, very briefly on this. We could probably run a whole webinar on Hootsuite because it's pretty powerful. It does a lot of really, really cool stuff. So Hootsuite, it actually gives you suggestions based on your tweeting history so that it knows sort of your behavior and what you like. So it can actually suggest things that will be in line with your sort of brand. It also has a schedule as well, so that's pretty cool. You can schedule at optimum times, and that sometimes it depends on where your audience is going to be, at what time you want to post. You know, if everybody's getting up at 6 a.m. on the East Coast, you know, you want to be posting that, but that's not really, you know, that's what, 3 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. So you can schedule these things out to hit at the optimal times. And it also is like, if you do, like we talked a little bit earlier about some Google searching on targeting your audience and finding out what regions things are trending in, this allows you to post and share content based on language and location and other demographic information, which is pretty cool. So as Rachel was talking about earlier, this actually, Hootsuite has a service that actually helps you to launch a campaign. So you can look at which tools that you can utilize to like launch a really cool campaign to get people engaged. And I think Hootsuite right now supports something like 80 apps. So it's really like the one-stop shop for you to sort of manage across platforms, which is pretty cool. All right, Rachel, what do we have now?
Well, now is the time where we can take some live questions. If there are any questions out there after hearing about some strategies and some tools that you might be able to use for your organization. So if you have any questions, you can live tweet them using our hashtag and we'll pull them up on Twitter, or you can go to our Hangouts on Air page and you can post them directly onto the page. Or
if you're in the Hangout, there's a Q&A feature there that Luann asked, has this started yet? And I see Amy was nice enough to give her the link to watch it. So
excellent.
Very cool, yeah.
Excellent. So I am curious what other people are doing in terms of their own social media campaigns and seeing if they're primarily, one of the things I've noticed really for arts organizations is that they largely use social media right now still to push out their own information, particularly about events or upcoming activities. And really it's just a few that are really kind of launched into doing what we're talking about today, which is the user-generated content and thinking about how to engage people in that way. But certainly large corporations have been thinking about that. I'm sure everyone is familiar with Coca-Cola's Share a Coke campaign, which actually really regenerated the brand when they launched a product that simply had people's names on it. And for whatever reason, the selfie generation, people really wanted to take their picture with a can of Coke with their name on it, and social media went crazy over it.
Well, and it's like the idea of when you go to a party and you meet that person and all they do is talk about themselves. You know, you get kind of tired of hearing that after a couple minutes, right? So you want to hear stories, you want to hear, you know, things about other people. So it's kind of the same thing with social media. If your brand is just pushing the same sort of self-promotion over and over again, then people get kind of tired. They want to see really cool stuff. They want to see what people are doing with the brand, or, you know, engaging in events, and, you know, they want it to be fun, and, you know, they also want to feel like they're part of something. So it's hashtags and other, you know, these selfie challenges and pictures are a really great way for people to sort of feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah, and it really capitalizes on what we talk about, the value of the arts in terms of building community and understanding of one another, when we get a sense of what our audience is actually thinking and doing while they're at our activity in our organization. So it's really the way you want to push your audience to go, and really, I mean, just putting out a hashtag on things is really going to help. So it doesn't look like we have any questions as of now, but we will be monitoring our hashtag. So if you think of any later, you can always tweet us and let us know.
Oh, we got some questions here.
We got some questions. Yes. Okay, what do we got?
I struggle with making the best use of my time managing social media. What is a good model for how to focus your time and efforts on social media?
What do you think, Ben?
Well, I think some of the tools we shared will actually help a lot. And it's kind of tough. There's a lot of like go slow to go fast. There's definitely a learning curve when it comes to sort of managing stuff. But finding, getting the analytics on sort of what is reaching people, that's really important. So you kind of maximize your potential. And really listening to what your audience is saying can also be, you know, very important. It definitely can be a time suck. I mean, there's so much that You could spend all day on social media if you wanted to, but I think you kind of have to set up a plan for yourself, you know, to sort of just set some basic goals or some metrics that you want to reach and just kind of target those.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned one of my favorite examples that I shared today was about Alvin Ailey, because I don't think that we should be on all types of social media. It's unnecessary. What you need to figure out is the right place for you to be. Now, most organizations, almost every single one, you're going to be on Facebook because 92% of people who are on social media are on Facebook. And you have your broadest range of audience, although fewer millennials are going to be on Facebook on a regular basis now, other than to connect with maybe their mom. And so that's what they say, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, Facebook is one. And then you really have to think about what it is that you want to share on social media, and where your audience is at that you're trying to connect with. And so Alvin Ailey picking Facebook and Instagram, well, one choice for them, Instagram is a really visual site. And they have some of the most amazing photographs you'll see in the arts at Alvin Ailey. So that was such a tremendous opportunity for them to be able to share that. And so that was really the right choice for them. But then you see that their audience picks up where they leave off because they can't manage 5 sites, and they share regardless, and they share on all the other sites. And, you know, Pinterest, what an interesting choice, right? Again, people were collecting the pictures from the other sites that Alvin Ailey was posting and putting them in their own Pinterest site. So that's a really cool way that they were getting populated without actually having to do that content themselves.
And so they picked 2 things and did it really well.
Yeah.
And then everybody picked up from there. So find out where sort of your core audience is and focus in on that. And then they're going to kind of spread to the other, you know, especially if you have a hashtag, or even like I know a teacher who started a hashtag 5 minutes for fun, you know, in schools. He said, bring the F word back to schools, fun, right? So he started this hashtag 5 minutes for fun. And it was just this, you know, anytime teachers wanted to, you know, spread this idea of having fun in the classroom, they just kind of use that hashtag, you know?
Yeah.
And it's across all, he didn't say, we're going to do this on Facebook. He just said, that's a hashtag. He didn't tell anybody where to use it or what to do, you know? And so it's been pretty good.
I would say the new trend is really not necessarily saying find us on Twitter or find us on Facebook. It's just find us on social. And it's promoting the hashtag. So having that hashtag for your organization, you know, we really started actively doing that even here for our program with UK Arts Admin. We only maintain 2 sites as well. But all of our students are on Instagram, and that's where they talk about us, is on Instagram. But it's not the right place for us to try to monitor it in terms of what the content is we have to share, but that's okay. It's totally fine that they're using our hashtag on those sites.
So we have kind of a specific question that you may be able to answer. Do you have an opinion on venue managers utilizing Twitter in addition to the organization? I don't know.
Venue managers.
Yeah.
Wait. I think they're meaning accounts that are run. I hope tweet us back or comment back if I'm not getting this right. I think you're meaning individuals who work for an organization that are also talking about institutional events in addition to directly from the institutional site, perhaps, maybe the venue managers. That's what I'm thinking. I think it's good. I mean, it's a social site, and it's ultimately even the organization. Someone's behind it. It's a person behind it. And I love when we're seeing organizations really capitalizing on all the different voices within an organization, the democracy of social media. So I love when an organization is saying, follow our actors, follow our artists, follow our dancers on their social media site if your artists are willing to let that happen. You know, there are some privacy issues you need to deal with, and sometimes the organization can help by allowing a professional account versus the personal account. So, but being able to share in multiple ways, and if you're using the hashtag, if you're using a way that people can still search and find content about you, it doesn't matter who's saying it.
We have a question. I do not understand hashtags. Do people click on a hashtag to get what they want?
So what do you, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, okay. Well, a hashtag is just a way for you to sort of tag something so that when people search for that hashtag, this comes up. So like on Twitter, you can create, if you use like TweetDeck or even Hootsuite or anything, you can do a search by hashtag. So anybody who has tagged or added that hashtag in their tweet, it will show the results there. And the same's true across a bunch of different platforms. That's why when you see, like on Instagram, for instance, you'll see a picture and then, a ton of different hashtags. So if it's a picture of, nature, it'll say nature. So, if you search for the nature hashtag, you'll see, all kinds of nature photos, and then some oddball ones that people kind of throw in.
So that's a good point, actually. It's something we didn't quite get into. Now, we really actively talked about promoting a hashtag associated with your organization or your event, which is good. Another way you can drive people to your sites is by using a hashtag in conjunction with your hashtag that is more broadly known. Now, you don't want to abuse that, right? So you don't want to say, put your message out there, hashtag Pepsi, if that has absolutely nothing to do with what you're doing. Now, if Pepsi's your sponsor, that might be different to get people to know about it. So you don't want to abuse it by getting people to search for you under false premises. But you could put more than one hashtag in your tweet. But essentially, it's just a filing system, if you will.
Yeah.
Just think of it like a filing system. And now I can search for everything associated after that little number sign, as we used to call it.
Well, some people will have a hashtag search just part of their daily, they'll have it running just. Some people don't even have their home feed up anymore because they're so specialized in their use of social media that they're just following certain hashtags.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to sort of keep your finger on the pulse. We have another question. Is it important to maintain consistency in regards to the target audience from social media site to social media site? So like you're saying, the target age for Facebook may not be the same target age with Instagram.
Yeah. No, it's not important. Actually, it's exactly the opposite of what you'd want to do. Just like you're going to put things in the newspaper to try to reach your older market that still subscribes. That's not what you're doing online. So your messaging can be different because you're trying to reach a different audience. And if you're getting on to things like Instagram and Vine, you're going to be looking at trying to get a younger, a millennial audience. That's not going to be where I mentioned that quite a few 65 and up people are on social media, but most of them are not on those sites. So you do want to target your messaging and your activities based on the site that you're on and the appropriate audience there. It's like some sites are much more geared toward women than men. So for instance, Pinterest is very strongly female-based. So something like 80% of the people on Pinterest are female, which could be good as an arts organization because that is almost exactly the statistic of the number of who buys arts events tickets. It's really close to 80% female too. So that could be why you might target that, but you do want to consider who the audience is just like you would in any other kind of marketing activity.
And we have some really good questions coming through also. And I think there was another question about what percentage of sort of tweets, how do you balance your message with your fundraising efforts?
How do you balance your message with your fundraising
how
efforts?
often do you ask for money, I guess is the question.
Okay. So here's my general rule about what you're putting on social media when it's your generated content. So when you're not looking at user generated content, the rule is 4-1-1. Okay. So 4 posts that are entertaining, that are educational, that are not specifically directly linked to trying to get someone to give you money or purchase tickets. And so for every 4 posts that you post that are educational and entertaining, you can post what's called one soft promotion. So, oh, look at this article, this review that was about us in the paper, kind of a soft promotion, not necessarily buy tickets, but here's a review. And one hard promotion, buy tickets. People are not on social media to purchase your product. People are on social media to have an experience, just like they are when you go to your organization. So you really have to balance what you're putting out there, or you will make them shut down from hearing your message at all.
And it's really good too to cross promote, to promote other organizations doing really cool things as well, because that ropes them into this sort of broader conversation, and they may likewise do the same to you. So it's kind of pushing your message, but having someone else push your message as well, which benefits you all because it gets people out more.
Yeah. Right.
Good. Any advice for moderating user-generated content, or is all publicity good publicity?
I want you to take that one, Ben.
Well, one, you can't really moderate other people's, but it's a really good question. All publicity is a good publicity. I guess it depends on how you manage it, I guess. You know, if you have angry people, which ultimately you always will at some point, because you can't please everybody all the time. But you just kind of want to, you know, admit when you make a mistake, I think is one of the big things. When people try and, you know, cover up or shift the blame, you know, if you made a mistake as an organization, just admit it, you know, and move on. But also, you know, if you're engaging with people in an interesting and fun way, you know, they're probably going to not have really much negativity towards you. But, you know, there's always going to be the haters, as they say, you know. So if the thing is, if the conversation's big enough and robust enough with all the good stuff that you're doing, no one's going to really pay attention to the negative stuff. It's just like, oh, someone's complaining, you know, what are you going to do?
But I do think it's important to address the complaints.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've had this experience, but I have. I've had an experience where maybe I had something bad happened, or the event wasn't well managed, or something didn't go right, and I tweeted about it, or I said something about it on social media in a way that the organization should know, and the organization completely ignored me. Never said anything. Not, I'm sorry, you know, things didn't live up to your expectations. Not, I'm sorry we had difficulty with the ticketing line. Not, I'm sorry this happened. Anything. And so what happens is I develop a poor image of how the organization is managing its brand, because my opinion is part of the brand. And so, and when I'm looking at other comments that people make to organizations on social media, and I see that the organization actively went back and commented to someone to correct an issue, that actually makes me feel better about the organization, because I think they're listening to the brand.
At least they try.
To the patrons. They're trying. They're trying to listen to it. So you can't, I wouldn't recommend pulling things down. You know, sometimes people want to delete things that get posted on the page. I think it's better for you to respond to it in a way that is appropriate, just like you would respond to someone complaining on your phone or your box office window. You know, address it.
Yeah. Tips for balancing consistent organizational tone with the specific personality and combos happening. We kind of talked about that earlier a little bit.
We did talk about it a little bit. I do hear that come up more and more, but I think, you know, institutions are made up of personalities and people, and so many arts organizations are made up of a strong artistic personality. And why are we going to limit the artistic personality to not have a voice, when often that's what the audience wants to hear? So I think there's ways to balance it, whether it's using their own name and a professional social media site when they're talking about things. But also, I mean, the messaging, just like all your communication, should go out in a way that is aligned with your whole marketing plan. Or
the vision of the organization.
Right.
It should be representative and feeding sort of the direction of the organization.
Yes.
Should, you know.
Yeah. Social media is part of your marketing plan. So it shouldn't be haphazard. It's part of it. You know, you should be thinking about the ad goes in the paper, the direct mail piece goes out, and these posts get made to these places. And I'm going to try to work to get UGC based on these techniques for this event and other techniques for other events.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, but what percentage of donations today are raised on social media?
Oh, I don't know specifically, but I would have to look up the actual percentage. They do some tracking. I don't know if you'd expect it to be high, but it's pretty low. And most of the time when people are giving online, they're being directed to a website from some other sort of printed material.
Yeah, and it would be tough to people want to know, that's kind of like the return on investment, right?
Yeah.
But you're kind of building sort of a feeling towards your company as well on social media, you know? And so if people maybe hear about something that they may not have gone to in the past, maybe attending that event will actually be the final straw that leads them to maybe drop some money in on the way in, or mail a donation in when they get a follow-up, email or whatnot.
Yeah.
So good question. So
yeah, great questions.
I think that we got them all so far.
All right, great. Well, we really appreciate attendance today and your great questions. And we will continue monitoring our site and responding. So if you have any other questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, we'll respond to you based on our Twitter feed. So
thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that you are having a beautiful and sunny day where you are. We are in the pouring rain here in Lexington, Kentucky, but we're glad that we could all be together today to enjoy this. And you can look for us online using our hashtag #UKArtsAdmin.
Great.
Take care.
And Hangouts didn't blow up today. I mean,
Yay!
it worked. Yeah. All right.